right, welcome to another Sci-Fi Journal presented by the Rhode Island Science Fiction Club. But we are taping this on February 22nd, 2025. Happy birthday, George Washington. I'm Mark Morrisell and also hosting are James Hinsey and Calvin Watts III. And we've decided to go with a different format this time. From now on, we're going to do things a bit differently. And Calvin, I will let you expand on how we're going to do things from now on.
So we've been talking about doing a format change for a while now, and don't get me wrong, for the years that we've given you the latest movies and music news and all that stuff, that's all well and fine. But as we've gotten older and we have personal lives and work and a bunch of other stuff getting in the way, and with the advent of the internet and everything going on in real time, 90% of the information we get to you is already old news by the time you're actually seeing it. And we just don't have the time to, we're not content creators where we can't be doing stuff every couple of days or something like that. It doesn't work. What we can do, and one of our most popular segments anyways, has been roundtable discussion. And a lot of podcasts and a lot of people that put in out content now basically do something along those lines. They'll pick a topic, they'll have their opinions on that topic, and they'll discuss. So that's what we're going to try and do. And we have a couple of topics that we picked to get going. And the first one we were talking about, we had just gone to see, or the three of us, along with other members of our Rhode Island Science Fiction Club, the new MCU movie Captain America: Brave New World. And the MCU is at a really pivotal point right now. Deadpool and Wolverine did bonkers at the box office and was a really good movie, but honestly, a lot of it was fan service. Whereas a bunch of the movies that were out before that, while some of them were critically acclaimed, they did either poorly or god awful at the box office. And with the new stuff coming out, the two Avengers films and the Fantastic Four, the MCU is at a critical stage right now. So we're going to be talking about our first topic is going to be the state of the MCU. So, Mark, I'll throw it out to you. What do you think about this? First, did you like Captain America: Brave New World? What did you like? What did you not like?
You know, go ahead.
And
I did like it. I was kind of worried because even before we saw the movie was getting bad reviews, and I didn't think that was fair. I mean, I'm of the opinion that you really don't judge a movie until you actually go to see it. Unless it's a real stinkeroo, and you know beyond a reasonable doubt that it's going to be a really bad movie. And this was the case for me for Captain America. So I went in with an open mind. I've always liked the Captain America franchise, so that was cool. I like this new Captain America, Anthony Mackie, is that his last name?
yes,
He's done an awesome job. He's done other projects too, which I like him in. Um, I would give it out of 5 stars, I'd give it like 3.5 or even 4 stars out of five because it was good. It wasn't fantastic. It moved at a really good pace, and it kept my interest. There was talk about how there was some re-edits, and you noticed them during the show. You could tell where they went back and they redid some things. Spoiler alerts during this entire thing, by the way. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, just get ready. We're going to spoil it. I like the idea that they saved showing us the Red Hulk until towards the end of the movie. Because if they had done it at the beginning, then it would have been kind of messy and stuff. But yeah, it was fun. I liked the flight scenes with Falcon and Captain America. I thought those were really well done. That was cool. Yeah, overall, it was good. I would give it like a 3.5 or even 4 out of 5 stars. It was nice.
I enjoyed it. I really like seeing, well, anything Harrison Ford is in.
Hmm.
You know, good. And playing the president, well, I mean, well, no, actually, I guess he never did play the, boy, he
he
did, wasn't
He's
did.
he?
played the
Yep,
president
It
yep.
before.
was
But
fun.
Yeah.
it wasn't for the Jack Ryan
No, it wasn't.
verse.
Mm,
But and if he did do more Jack Ryan movies, he would have become the president
right.
That's true.
Yeah.
in that storyline. On the other hand, I mean, uh, the other past presidents that they had, right? Was it Robert Redford played General Ross before, and then before that was um, uh, what's his name? Roth.
Sam Elliott played it in the I forget the director's name, but the one with Eric Bana back in 2003,
Oh,
which was a
but that's not
non-MCU movie.
right.
No, the one
That
that
was
played
Ang
General
Lee.
Ross before was William Hurt.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, William Hurt.
William
Okay.
Hurt. Yeah.
All
And
right.
because he passed away, why
Yeah.
Harrison Ford took over the
Oh,
role.
I see.
Mm.
Yeah. And then and before that, that was what's the name? Roth from wasn't it in the one with Ed Norton as the Hulk?
Yes, that was the one. Yes, that was the one
Yeah.
that actually this is basically a sequel to, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Uh,
say. It felt like more of a sequel to the Hulk movies than it did Captain America.
yeah. Yeah. So, but also it was interesting. That one thing I thought was that the element that was providing this gamma infection for Ross was thorium. So there was a element TH there with some isotope numbers and stuff like that. That was, I thought, a good little science geeky thing
Mm.
to see. Um, what else? I like some of the throwbacks they had to different things that came from previous shows or movies. So if you hadn't watched some of the Disney Plus shows, you might have not known about it, like the Falcon and
When a
uh,
soldier.
Yeah.
Winter
We're
Soldier
saying, yeah.
series, right?
Yeah, that cameo was
Uh,
well done. I like the
yeah,
references to the Black Widow uh movies. That was pretty good too.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And so as part of this phase 5 of the MCU, it's a pretty good one, and we got one more coming up for that. So we'll see how that one goes.
All
Yeah.
right.
So I like the movie. Like what Mark was saying. I'm probably 3.5 to 4 stars out of 5. If you hadn't seen The Incredible Hulk, you might have been a bit lost. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's literally the second movie in the MCU franchise, which is now up to 35.
I
And
know. Yeah.
I went back and counted. I'm like, 35 movies. Yeah, it's been 35
You want to
movies.
go through the list? Can you go through the list in your head? Because we were talking about it the other day.
I have the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 lists here.
Okay.
Um, but like, Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron
Yep.
Man 2, Thor, Captain America, the first Avenger, the Avengers. So that was phase 1 that introduces most of the main,
Okay. Now, out of
right?
those movies that you just mentioned, which ones do you like and which ones are the stinkers?
Um, Actually, they were all great. I
Okay.
think, you know, introduction of Thor, um, Captain America, First Avenger. I mean,
Hmm.
those were really great. And the Avengers, I thought that was a great one too, with the invasion of New York City, because from there it leads to all the other things happening too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, honestly, probably an Incredible Hulk is the weakest out of those three. And even then, it really wasn't that bad.
Now, who was the main star in that one? Was it Banya or
No,
no, it was
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton? All right. Okay.
yeah, and I liked the beginning of it too, where it started in Brazil and he'd been out in South America
Right.
trying to, center himself and learn how to deal with controlling his anger, and then,
Hmm.
well, things don't go
Just
so
wasn't
well. But
working.
he had been
Yeah.
there for a while. So
Mm.
um,
Okay. So what's the next set of movies?
phase 2 was Iron Man 3, Thor: The
Okay.
Dark World, um, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Hmm.
Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man.
All right.
So
Which one did
Iron
you
Man
like out of that?
3 is like not that great
Yeah, but
because
that's later, right? That's not part
no,
of
no, this
those.
no, this is Iron Man 3 is in phase 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
No,
it's the
he's
third
Oh,
correct.
Iron
Iron
Man,
Man 3. Okay.
right? To me, they missed the opportunity of having the real Mandarin. Instead they had someone, an actor,
Oh, pretending to
pretending
be
to
the.
be,
Yeah.
which I give Ben Kingsley kudos because I mean he's an Oscar-winning actor. He did Gandhi,
Hmm.
and then but he's still part of the MCU because he does show up in Shang-Chi. So it's like, oh, great, they kept him, somewhat active in that
Yeah.
by bringing him back. How about Thor: The Dark World?
That
Was
was
that
okay. Was that Kate Winslet that was in that one? Who was it? The the main baddie girl in that one. I forget her name.
No, that was the one with the elf guy, the dark elf.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, no, that was easily the weakest link in phase two.
Okay.
yeah,
It's not close.
Yeah,
yeah.
not even close.
Um,
Yeah.
Iron Man
Uh,
3 was okay.
Who's
Um,
the main one in Iron Man 3?
Not Guy Pearce.
there's Ben
Oh,
Kingsley
maybe it is Guy Pearce.
and yeah.
All right. Okay.
Uh, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Uh, Probably one of the best ones of those.
Yeah,
It,
that was well
it's
done.
that's still probably, if not the best movie in the entire franchise. It's definitely in my top five.
Okay.
Yeah. And Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah,
which
you can't be Guardians.
that,
Oh yes, you can. No,
Oh,
Guardians was
yeah.
fine, but that dance off still bothers me to
oh,
this
does it? Oh,
day.
at the very end. That's right. I remember that too. But I got to
Uh,
tell you, if you go
yeah.
to Disney World, like my family and I did last September, and you get on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, that ride is that ride literally took my breath away. That's how awesome that ride was. I was just hanging on for dear life, bouncing around all over the place. And at the end, my this 66-year-old went, "Oh, wait a minute, I need a second." That was a tough ride, but it was so much fun, and the whole atmosphere, that whole ride. If you get a chance to go to Disney, definitely hit Galaxies, uh,
Mhm.
Guardians of the Galaxy ride. You won't be disappointed.
The biggest
Yeah.
thing that phase two did, as is has been other stuff, is basically set up phase three.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, and you continued a bunch of stuff, but phase three is when the MCU really takes off.
Okay.
Yeah. I do like the Guardians of the Galaxy for expanding the MCU into, intergalactic because you get just a little bit of it with Thor but it's still only uh, based on the, Norse type mythology of
Right.
Yggdrasil.
Hmm.
Um, but let's see. And then the Ant-Man was fun. That's
Hmm.
another part of MC Phase Two. Uh, someone who is like down on his luck and
Yeah.
gets a chance to prove himself.
And you can't beat Paul Rudd as an actor. He was just a lot of fun to
Yeah,
watch too.
he
Yeah,
was really
yeah,
good for the role.
Yep.
yeah. He's like an everyman
Hmm.
actor. Everyone identifies with him. Avengers: Age of Ultron was probably had a lot of expectations.
Hmm. Yeah, but did it
Um,
meet those expectations? Did it meet those expectations?
it's
And Calvin's
well,
going, maybe kind of, sort of. Yeah.
yeah,
In some ways it did, in some ways it didn't.
Okay.
It's definitely
I,
the weakest of
yeah,
all the Avengers movies, and it's
Okay.
not close.
Mm.
yeah. For me, it was like, what was Ultron's real motive? How did he get this motivation? It's just, you know, uh, technically, I mean, I part of the Sokovia Accords and the whole thing with Sokovia. That
Hmm.
was interesting. Bringing in, it introduced the brother and sister pair of the Scarlet Witch and
Hmm.
Quicksilver. So,
Okay.
uh, so now we go Phase Three. Uh, that one's here. At least I'm not sure if this order is in theatrical release or not. This is just what the Wikipedia
Mm.
has all these titles in a bunch. Captain America: Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxies Volume 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther,
Hmm.
Avengers: Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers: Endgame, and Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Okay. A
That's
lot
a
of
lot.
strong,
So, I mean,
yeah, a lot of
yeah, a
strong
lot of,
movies in that one.
oh yeah. And then new characters too. Because then Sony with Spider-Man comes in
Mm.
and it's like, oh, yes, we can finally do something together. Let's do it. And then,
Right. Right. So, Calvin, what are your favorites in Phase 3?
Obviously, the two Avengers movies were very well done.
Hmm.
The Spider-Man standalone home alone movie, Tom Holland's an excellent actor, and he
Okay.
and he really pulled it off. That was fine. Guardians 2 was really good.
Yep.
Civil War, Civil War is still one of my favorite movies. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, it's fan service all the way, but I don't care. Sometimes you just gotta say, I don't care, and seeing something that you read about in the books and have it come to life on screen and having it pretty well done.
Right.
So yeah, Ragnarok for all the comedic elements, it worked.
Hmm.
and outside of Hela killing off like the Warriors 3 and most of Asgard like pretty quickly, that was a great the only one there really isn't a bad movie in the bunch. I mean, probably the one that stands out to me as the least, but even then, it was really a really good movie was Captain Marvel.
Okay.
And Brie is it Brie Larson
Larson.
Yeah.
is a fine actress and
Oh
and,
yeah.
and she did well, but I mean, again, by having an interconnected universe, you have good stuff and then you have bad stuff. And then
Hmm.
when you're starting to make movies just specifically as a plot point to move it along and not have it be a good movie to be able to watch in its own right, you have some inherent problems. The one
Right.
of the reasons why The Winter Soldier I think works so well is yes, it continues the storyline, it sets up future things, but as on its own, it's an excellent movie. You
Hmm.
could have somebody that doesn't know anything about the MCU go ahead and just watch that as like an espionage like spy action movie,
Hmm.
and they'd still like it.
Right.
It just happens to have Captain America in it. So, but
Yeah.
and the stuff they did with Endgame and especially the stuff they did with an Infinity War, bring everybody together. Black Panther is also part of that.
Yeah.
That was a great movie. I
Yes.
don't know if
Oh
you
yeah.
had mentioned that or not.
Hmm. My
Uh,
favorite of that bunch was Doctor Strange because they
yeah,
finally brought
yeah,
yeah they finally brought in the mystical aspects of and magic into the Marvel universe, and that's always been one of my favorite parts of Marvel was the Doctor Strange era. I have an uncle who when he was a kid, collected almost every issue of Doctor Strange. And for a while, there was one point I remember him showing me those issues. He doesn't have them anymore, unfortunately. Lost them in a flood or something. But
Uh,
yeah, I remember reading Doctor Strange as a kid and thinking, oh, this would be a great movie. And there was a TV series based on Strange back in the 70s that they did. I don't know if you ever had a chance to see
it
it.
was
it
yeah, it
was a
was
good TV movie, but no, I didn't get to see it. But
Yeah,
I've heard of
yep,
it. Yeah.
it was interesting.
yep.
They tried some. I think I
It
forget
was
which
I thought it
who
was
was the
Bill Bixby that played that, wasn't it?
he did in
No,
the
he was the
later
Hulk.
he was the Hulk.
No, but
Yeah.
I thought he
No,
also
it
then
wasn't
did
No,
Bixby. I forget the guy's name, but it was like some unknown guy. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
with the
we'll have to
mustache.
research it and stick it up on the
yeah,
screen and see what
yeah.
happens. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. But Doctor Strange, out of that particular series of MCU movies, that was one of my favorites. I like Doctor Strange. It was fun. All right, so what else we got? What the next phase is what?
Let's see. The next phase, phase four. Well, here we get some. Let's go with the films, but there's TV series here now too that we can talk about. But
Oh, good.
for films, we got Black Widow,
Hmm.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
And for me, they seem to be the more for lack of a better term, watered down versions of movies in the DC universe. They're not as good
MCU.
as in the
Yeah.
MCU. I'm sorry, I said DC. So you can tell I'm a DC guy. The MC, the MCU. Um, yeah, for me, these are the weaker films in that series. What do you think? There was still some good ones, but
There were definitely some good movies. The Spider-Man Far From Home was
No Way
was
Home.
probably the best out of the bunch.
that was the
And
one with Doctor Strange, right?
No Way
no,
Home.
No,
This
which
Far
one
no,
was
From
this
that?
one's
Home
No
is
Way
the
Home.
second.
Far From Home is in phase three. This is phase four
So they
now, right?
had
So,
two Spider-Man movies. All right, so yeah, no, the No Way Home is the one with Doctor Strange. That
Okay.
was then it's no
oh
question
yeah,
that was the best of the bunch,
Hmm.
right. Because you
and
got
that's the one with Doctor Strange.
Okay.
yeah. Plus you have pre Spider-Man. It
Yes.
was like the
Yeah.
multiverse. You know,
And it was funny
they break.
because after that movie premiered that year at Rhode Island Comic Con, everybody came dressed as Spidey, and everybody was standing in a circle, all pointing to each other for the photo
Yeah,
ops. Did you notice that was going on that particular year? That was a lot of fun.
yeah.
That was good.
Uh, so I know that that meme comes from like the cartoon image thing of
Right.
the Spider-Man pointing at each other. But
Mm.
was that something that actually happened in a Spider-Man cartoon years ago? I don't know
I don't know
its
either.
its
Calvin, do you
origin,
know?
if it really is.
Possible. I mean, I remember Spider-Man and Amazing Friends really well, but I mean, they also had just before that a limited Spider-Man series from the 80s,
Okay.
which lasted maybe like 12 or 13 episodes.
Hmm.
And I've only seen bits and pieces, so it's entirely possible, but no, I don't know. See,
Yeah.
I don't
So,
know.
Yeah.
so
So
fans, if you're watching this and you know the answer, leave something in the comments below, and then we can
yeah,
talk about it
the
next
origin
time.
of the finger pointing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I like Black Widow because I mean it sort of backtracks a bit in time.
Was that a
Uh,
movie or a TV
it was a
series?
movie,
It was a
Black
movie.
Widow.
Right.
Yeah, because then it
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
introduces
yeah. Okay.
right Yelena. It
Yep.
enters Yelena and the Red Guardian and
Scarlett
stuff like
Johansson.
that.
Okay.
So Shang-Chi was fun.
I missed that
Uh,
movie. That's on my list.
yeah,
Yep.
Shang-Chi
it,
was really good.
yeah.
Okay.
Thor: Love and Thunder. That's Natalie Portman's back.
That was just plain goofy, I thought.
Yes.
I mean, it was a comedic version
Yeah.
of the MCU. I liked it. I thought it was fun. Wasn't great. It made Saul look like a freaking idiot, but who
Oh
knows?
yeah. But, what cool though, it does introduce Zeus, you know,
Yeah.
and
All right.
yeah. Oh, and Christian Bale into the MCU
Yep.
as a bad guy.
Oh, he was creepy in that role. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yeah. Yeah. He did a really good job of that. Yep.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
opinion, he did a better job than he did on Batman. But that's
Yeah.
a whole other discussion
Oh,
for
yeah. No,
for another
we're
show.
not going there
Put
because
it aside and we can talk about it at a
you're
future
wrong. But
program.
anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
but yeah, a
Uh,
lot of these movies have been lackluster.
Mhm.
That's probably a good way of doing it. And they were kind of foundering after. I mean, where do you go after, Iron Man dies and you bring back half the universe?
Right.
So and not everything as Disney and Marvel found out is a guaranteed hit. And
Right.
so they had to kind of go back and retool and it's not to say the stuff was bad. The Loki series was really good
That was fun. Yep.
yeah.
for something out of left field. Falcon
Yep.
and Winter Soldier was really good. But then you
Yep.
had Secret Invasion,
Hmm.
which tanked badly
Yep.
Yeah.
and very, very disappointing.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier was fine. What If could have been so much better. And don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
I like What If.
Now, did you watch the entire thing? Have you watched all of the What If shows?
I'm still in the middle of season three.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Mm,
but there's so many different things that they could have done, but by just having it basically an MCU version of What If, and I
Mm.
get it, so you're interconnecting and stuff, but you have so many stories out there that you could have told. I mean, you have cartoons that aren't part of the MCU.
Right.
Do something with that.
Hmm.
mm,
Or you're going to the well once too often. I mean, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The Marvels, Ms. Marvel as a TV show was awesome.
Yep.
yeah.
Marvel's second movie, while I mean it was watchable, it's nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be.
Mm.
I mean, it still, I mean, bombed so badly at the box office. And
Yep.
and it's and I'm sorry if you're woke, if you're not woke, whatever. The fact of the matter is the box office numbers for that sucked.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
You can blame it on whatever you want. You can. I don't really care about Rotten Tomato scores or whatever.
Yeah.
The people spoke at the box office and it bombed.
Hmm.
Deal with it. End of story.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I like it.
Yeah.
Is it one of the best ones? No. Is it one
Hmm.
of the worst ones? No. It's kind of in the middle. And I like the characters. And Kamala Khan is awesome.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you can't just go and print money. It doesn't work that way. And it literally took the ultimate fan service movie, Deadpool versus Wolverine, to bring Marvel kind of back to somewhat of an even keel.
Hmm.
And then now Kevin Feige really kind of realized that, maybe we should be doing more quality stuff and not quantity stuff. Because at one point they were talking about doing 4 movies a year,
Right. Yeah.
which is
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
bonkers.
Yeah. No, that,
Three,
yeah,
even three is kind of pushing it.
yeah, that brings us into the next phase. So, Alvin, what
Yeah.
do you see as far as future MCU movies? What do we have that's in the
Well,
pipeline right
So a lot of
well,
stuff that's no, go ahead, James.
yeah. Just to quickly go over. Um, so that was phase four. Phase five is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania,
Yep.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
Yep.
the Marvels, which you talked about, Deadpool and Wolverine, which is the first Deadpool in the MCU. Nowhere is his previous, one and two were in
Mm,
here at all. Yeah, Captain America: Brave New World, which we just saw, and then coming
mm.
up, Thunderbolts, Asterix.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's where we are right now. Currently, is in Phase Five.
Right.
Yeah, and then Thunderbolts will be the last movie in Phase 5, which looks from the previews, it looks like it'll be interesting. But
Yep.
again, it's a if you're not into the books, it's a little known team that's basically comprised of either supervillains or people who were used to be supervillains. And originally the concept was it was a superhero team made up of supervillains, and they were secretly, playing the hero. In the meantime, Baron Zemo had this master plan of, we're gonna hide in plain sight, which is kind of what they did. And the series evolved over time,
Mm,
and the movie does look interesting. But yeah, this is where Disney made a bunch of missteps between the Marvels, and then Thor: Love and Thunder was
Yeah,
mm.
it's
Let's
what
just
I'm looking forward to with Thunderbolts is that it's going to be a comedy,
Yeah.
a superhero comedy, which
Okay.
is going to make it fun. Just like the fun in Guardians of the Galaxy films has been. It's like, yeah, okay, we got some serious stuff happening, especially in this last volume three about um, uh, um, you know, the the raccoon's life. Oh, I forget his name
Rocket.
now. Jesus,
Rocky,
Rockets
Rocket.
for life,
Rocket.
Rocket.
right? About Rocket's, origins and stuff,
Hmm.
which is really heartbreaking
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, you know,
That was a tearjerker. I
uh,
broke out the tissues for
yeah,
that one. Yeah.
so but also just like with James Gunn's films, I mean, he does try to make it fun, and some of the some of the humor is in the physical, some of it's in the words.
Mm,
Um, Deadpool, Wolverine, I mean, that fourth wall breaking is something that just kind of happens, but then they also brought in all kinds of, characters that,
now,
like, oh, we should have this character, this character. It's like, yes,
yeah.
then they just went ahead and balls to the wall kind of
Now,
thing.
did you like the breaking the fourth wall, or did you find it like distracting after a while?
Well, not knowing much about the character at all, when I saw the first Deadpool, I was already gut busting laughing
Right.
in the opening credits
Okay.
from the start.
Mm,
So I was like, all right, this is going to be a fun ride all the way through,
mm.
and there were some heart, um, you know, uh, sentimental moments,
Right.
but still, I mean, uh, that sense of humor or that kind of humor that he does is like perfect for not only just that character, but Ryan Reynolds too,
Okay.
playing that part. Uh,
Yeah, he's just perfect for the role.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So
it's always nice to see Marina Baccarat in a role too.
yeah,
Absolutely. One of my favorite Firefly characters.
Yeah, so and that really, and while it was basically ultimate fan service movie, it also sets up a lot of the multiverse and how things are going to work. You like
Hmm.
the ending of the Marvels did it, and then Brave New World, it kind of introduced some new concepts with the
Okay.
introduction of adamantium into the MCU.
Yep.
And then, at the post-credit scene, there are others that are going to be coming. But
Yeah.
it all leads into
Mhm.
what is going to be the pivotal movie. If the MCU is going to live for the next 10 years, Fantastic Four First Steps has to do well. And
Right.
it's got,
Okay.
it's got a lot riding on it. It had
Okay.
a lot riding on it before,
Hmm.
but with the MCU kind of having some missteps, now it has even more riding on it. Because to be honest, all the previous Fantastic Four movies have been decent at best, and I've now and even that's kind of pushing it. Now I've seen the 1994 version that's hard to find, and
Yep.
for what
Roger
it is,
Corman.
yes,
yeah, I've
Roger
Yeah.
watched
Corman.
that.
Okay.
And for what it is, I mean, it's a decent movie, but is it good by any stretch of imagination? No.
No. Mm-mm.
And then when Fox got the rights to the Fantastic Four, now the one that came out in 2005 with Chris Evans as the Human Torch,
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And they had a pretty decent cast. And the
I like that one.
first one wasn't too bad.
Hmm.
It set up an origin story, and there were some things that they did well with it, and some things they kind of misstepped with. But it was good. But then the sequel with the Silver Surfer and Galactus being a cloud, totally stupid.
Hmm.
Silver Surfer was fine. Fantastic Four was fine. Galactus being this cloud, no,
Yeah.
no, 1,000 times no. But
That was saying, oh yeah, we're too cheap to spend the money on the special effects. So hopefully
and
they make up for it this next Fantastic
I
Four
hope
movie.
so because they tried to reboot it with the Josh Trank Fantastic movie from like
Yeah.
2015 and 2016,
Hmm.
and I still for the life of me can't see how this guy who was an independent film director created and directed one of the best superhero movies of all time in Chronicle had this much of a stinker. I know he had a lot of interference from the studio, so that's part of it,
Right.
but it was so bad.
Hmm.
I mean, it was so bad that, they're like, okay, we're not even touching this property because it was untouchable. Even when
Hmm.
the MCU was picking up steam, and even when they got the rights to like the X-Men and Fantastic Four, they're like, no, no, we're going to keep it away.
Hmm.
But this is really going to set up whatever's going to happen in Doomsday because anybody who doesn't know anything about Doctor Doom is a Fantastic Four villain. He's like the Fantastic Four villain. And if he is going to be like the big bad, the Fantastic Four are going to be, if not in Doomsday in some way, they're going to definitely be in Secret Wars. They're going to, and whatever happens at this film is going to be pivotal. And then trying to tie us all in together, because the X-Men are coming in.
Right.
You're going to have Secret Wars, and I believe this one is going to probably be more based on like the 2015 Jonathan Hickman series than the original 1984 series, which is fine.
Hmm.
It was a really, really great series in its day, but you have so many different characters that you want to play with.
Hmm.
And you can't have a Secret War without teams, and it's just if you're going to have good guys, you're going to have bad guys too. There's
Yeah.
only so much you can put on the screen and have so many, characters and stuff that you're doing with. So they
Hmm.
got a lot on their plate that they're going to be riding
We'll
on.
Uh,
see.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. If I know this Fantastic Four that's coming out this July,
Hmm.
it's set way back, I don't know, 60s or
The
70s, maybe
1960s.
60s.
In
Yeah.
the 60s.
Right. And it looks fantastic. It reminds me so much of like the old Fantastic Four cartoon.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Uh, Ben
It's got
Grimm
it's
looks
got
great.
Herbie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're going based on just a trailer alone, it looks great. They got the things look down pat. I mean,
Yep.
Human
Mm,
Torch is very easy to do. I'm very intrigued by the fact that they haven't shown Reed Richards' abilities.
Yes, that's interesting.
It could
yeah.
be for a number of reasons. There's been all sorts of speculation. They're still working on the special effects. If you notice, his costume was slightly different
Hmm.
than their costumes,
Yeah.
and somebody had said it might be because it was easier by having just an all blue costume to do the effects than it would by having like the white highlights. Um, but that's why it's again one of the many reasons why this is very important. And there are all sorts of ways they can do it. Anybody who's been reading Fantastic Four for the past few years, there's the Future Foundation that's kind of in there. You have the Council of Reeds, so you still might see John Krasinski pop up as Reed Richards,
Yep.
somehow
Mm.
in some way, because the Secret Wars went through all sorts of multiverses. So I mean, the possibilities are literally endless.
Yeah, they can do anything.
And I agree with James. Directing is not going to be an issue when it comes to the
Mm.
Avengers movies. It's going to be the script.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, mentioning the multiverse thing, if you'd seen like season 2 of the Loki series, I kind of wonder now, though, how much of the multiverse is still there if they've collapsed things into
If they've
the
resulted. Yeah.
what do they call it? The timeline, the
Yep.
prime sacred timeline,
Hmm.
uh, or is now Loki, since he's kind of and this is a spoiler, he's become part of maintaining the timeline
Hmm.
uh, physically. That is he then still maintaining that there are multiple timelines, or is it just still only one? And
Right.
or they're allowing the branches to go off and stuff.
Well,
I
maybe
don't know.
Secret Wars will introduce that. They'll introduce a segment where they go after Loki and
Yeah.
somehow disrupt things all over it.
Yeah.
Also, back in
Mm.
that Multiverse of Madness film at the end, Charlize Theron shows up, right, and takes Doctor Strange off on some other adventure to who
Hmm.
knows where.
Yep.
And
The
so I can't.
doctor mentioned because I believe there was an issue with Dormammu.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. So there's that. What's he off doing, and is that ever going to come to light? Because that doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be.
They kind of threw out that little tidbit for us to
Yeah,
chew on. Oh, wow. That's
yeah.
good.
It's not on the list of things to come.
Okay.
Well, right now the only thing that's listed once we get through Fantastic Four First Steps and Thunderbolts this year, you
Mhm.
have the two Avengers movies and you have a fourth untitled as of yet Spider-Man movie in between.
Okay.
Yeah,
Disney and Marvel has time slots or date slots reserved for between 2016 and 2017 for two other movies, but there's been no announcements. It could be Armor Wars, although that's probably all said and done.
Mm.
That's been a long delayed project. It could be a sequel to like Doctor Strange is supposed to maybe have another sequel at one point. I mean, it could be a standalone movie or some sort that we don't know about yet. I don't think
Okay.
it could be a Captain Marvel's or Eternal movie. I don't think it's going to be another Thor movie either, though that is also a possibility. I mean, there are different ways that they can go in, but they also got to kind of get going too. Because I mean, we're a little over a year away from the Avengers Doomsday movie, and it hasn't even started filming yet. Never
Yeah.
mind the
The writer's
special
strike
effects
really
or
killed
anything.
everything. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's supposed
Good.
to start
yeah,
filming in March. I mean, that's for a movie that's supposed to be really, really big. That's going to be a very, very tight schedule.
Yep.
It'll
Yep.
be
I
interesting to
got you.
see what they can do.
Okay. All right. So
yeah,
is that it for Marvel movies? We're done with MCU for now.
I think so. I mean,
yeah,
there's definitely stuff to look forward to, and it's definitely going to be a very interesting time. And there's other stuff we didn't even touch on, like the Vision
yeah,
series that's come upcoming, where he's gotten his memories back, he's been rebuilt, and what does he remember, what doesn't he remember,
Hmm.
and how is he going to factor into the MCU?
Right. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And then there's all the TV series that we really didn't
Yeah.
cover, uh, because there's options there for
Hmm.
um,
The Young Avengers.
see more. Yeah,
Yep.
Young Avengers,
Yep.
Daredevil, Born Again's coming.
Hmm.
Yep.
Maybe possibility more of the Marvel TV that was on Netflix
Yep.
coming into.
Yep. And there's talk of Disney Plus bringing back the Defenders, which I hope they
Mhm.
don't do. Uh, I was disappointed with that
Yeah,
series. All right, cool. We got about what 15 minutes left or so.
yeah,
Our second topic is gonna be what was your favorite age as a kid in regards to TV and toys and music and all this other stuff. And who wants to go? James, you have a bunch of stuff that
yeah,
you want to share. So go ahead. Why don't you go
yeah.
first?
Start back in 1976 was a good year for
Way back. I
me.
should do the waves
Yeah,
way back.
1976. I mean, a couple years before that was Star Trek, the animated series. That was great. But the stuff I remember the most was when I was around sixth grade in 76. And I was living in Minnesota at the time, and Base 1999 was on TV,
Hmm.
right? And I really loved that. And it started in 75, but let me flip over here to share this screen.
I
You
set it up,
see
by the
that?
way, Calvin. We can share screens anytime you need to.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
I I had this toy. This thing's like 2.5 feet long,
Eagle on. Yep.
Eagle One. And then when I moved from Minnesota to Hawaii back in 77, I had to give it away.
Ah.
But it was cool. I mean, these were all like decals that were stuck on here,
Hmm.
so and but it was cool. I even had a winch inside, so you could winch the person in the spacesuit, up to it or something.
Okay.
Um, I also love Legos, and every year, like Christmas, would be Legos. But I had this one. This was the moon landing
Hmm.
thing, right? This was before the minifigs. So this had these. articulating arms.
These little bricks.
Um,
Yep.
they had little ball heads that stuck into the top if you take
Hmm.
the helmet off.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty old.
That's
yep.
funny.
Right. So this was another one of my favorite Lego sets that I had.
Hmm.
Plus, because these little nozzle things on the ship I used for other things. Um, let's see. TV was Arc 2, which was really cool. They used the same front end that they had in Space Academy.
Hmm.
The other Filmation, Jason of Star Command and Space Academy series. So it had the same kind of interior design from the nozzle. Plus, big giant vehicle, it was wicked cool. Plus, they had the jetpack thing
Yes,
um, on there too.
that really worked, by the way.
Yep.
Hmm.
Filmation also had Tarzan, and then after this, they added Flash Gordon. But
Hmm.
Tarzan was using rotoscoping for some of the animation. It was cool stories. Uh, that was also 76.
Yep.
And the last several episodes of the Shazam series came out in 76. Most of it was in 75, 74, something like that.
Hmm.
But and this they had a different Shazam for those last
Yeah, they had
set
a
of
couple of different actors
episodes.
that played. Uh,
Just yeah, two different actors. This was the one that did most episodes, and
okay.
at the end of every episode was a little thing about the lesson that was being shown in the
Yeah, a little
episode.
morality
I
play at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I first signed up for the DC Universe online streaming service and
Right.
access to the comics, they had the Shazam series remastered. So I watched it all. They did not have ISIS because ISIS, there's rights issues with that show.
Mm.
Um, but they had the, Shazam ISIS Hour um, in 76.
Okay.
I also still watched, Super Friends and things like that. Another toy I had was the You Fly It aircraft carrier,
Okay.
right? And so it was this big, long styrofoam chip, and then it had a catapult on the bow with a F4 Phantom aircraft. It would this string and it had a controller, and then it would shoot it out, and it would come back, and you had to land it on the ship. Now I've got some video here to show you. This is from the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and I don't
Hmm.
know if the audio will play um, here, but let me see if I can play this. They've already tried several times, but it goes out and then
Goes
it comes
out.
back. Boom!
Oh, all right.
All right. Can you hear that?
No, there's no audio.
Okay. So Ed McMahon was actually had been a pilot.
Hmm.
Uh, and had and then Johnny comes in and he
Nails it.
nails it.
Ah, cool.
So, I mean, I could go into a number of different years, but probably I would say 1980 would probably be the biggest one. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to pull up a couple of things for you. But the reason why 1980 was like a pivotal year is video games were finally starting to come
Hmm.
into the mainstream. So one of the things that I got, and this is a small one, I'm trying to see if I can't find like a bigger version for you.
Right.
1980 around here in New England, Channel 25, which is an independent station, came out with this hour series, a 2.5 hour series, which really changed the way I viewed cartoons. And it was Force 5, which was an anthology of some of the Shogun Warriors comic books and characters that they had made for giant robots in Japan. And each day they had a different TV series. On the first day, they had Vanguard Ace, which was a giant robot. The second day, they had Star Avengers, which in Japan was Robo G, which was another giant robot, which could transform from three different like flying ships into one of three different robots. And that was my favorite out of the three. On Wednesdays, they tried to get the rights to Great Mazinger, which would have been like it was a sequel to the robot that started a whole giant robot franchise going along, but they weren't able to. So here in America, they called it Space Gateers, and James, you might know what
Oh,
it was based off of, and
Space Cateers is Starvenger. It's a based on the Chinese legend story of the Monkey King.
all right, so 1980, like I was saying, we were talking about Force Five, and then Thursdays and Fridays were two respective of the robots. Thursdays was Grandizer or UFO robot Grandizer in Japan, and then Fridays was Guy King. And as good as those were, the show that came on afterwards really kind of blew me away because Star Wars had come out a couple of years earlier. We were just getting ready for the sequel to Empire Strikes Back. But they
Yeah.
had this show called Star Blazers, and in Japan it was based Battleship Yamato, and it's the Yamato that's in my background now. So growing up in the 70s and stuff, and there were some really good cartoons out there, but most of them were simplistic. They had a simple plot. It wasn't anything great. This had like an ongoing storyline. It was like a regular TV series. It had 26 episodes, and yet, the people were in danger, people got hurt, and it was phenomenal. And it was really kind of like a shift towards a more mature era for me. Um, TV series, a lot of stuff that I grew up with was in the syndication at the time, so you could still see it. Stuff like Space 1999, the original Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, and so a lot of where I got my science fiction stuff from was like really cool. So let's see if I can share my stuff.
Uh,
So again, with the
yeah.
Empire Strikes Back being like really huge,
Ah,
so
there you
the
go.
things that I had and I absolutely love. Han Solo was my favorite character,
Hmm.
and we had some different stuff, but I had this Han Solo gun,
Oh, cool.
which you can't do anymore because it
Yeah.
looks like realistic. And
Yeah.
I was having this discussion with somebody the other day about something that had happened at work.
Hmm.
But I remember playing with this thing for hours because it was big, it was bulky, it made sounds, and it was really cool. And then let's see, this is something I and
Ah.
a little bit earlier. Let's see if that's better. This is Remco's Star Trek CSF controlled space flight. For those of you who didn't grow up in the 70s and stuff, Mattel came out with this Vertibird was the name of the thing. So it was basically what you can see here. It was a base that had batteries in it, and it was attached to a counterweight, and it had a rod. And at the other end of the rod, when the vertebrate stuff came out, it was a helicopter. And then over
Yep.
time, they did different
Yeah.
things. They had a prototype Space 1999 one. This one's like the Enterprise. Then you had like this little control thing that you could see like over here and you could basically fly it around in a circle. You can move it up, you can move it down. They would have like hooks on there or something, so you could pick up different things. I mean, for the 70s, it was kind of like state of the art, and that was pretty cool. Um, and of course, we can't end this discussion without talking about
Wow.
video games. And
Mm-hmm.
while my dad and I could go over his house and have an Atari,
Hmm.
my first video game system I also got in 1980, which cemented my love of video games up until this day. And this is a offshoot of the Mattel Television, which came out in 1979. This is the
Yep.
TV Vision one. So my mom and my stepfather, God rest their souls, I don't know, maybe they had an account with Radio Shack, and I don't know why I got this one. And it literally took months before I got a second video game cartridge because it was so expensive at the time. At the time, it was the most expensive system that was out there. And it came with Las Vegas poker and blackjack. Now,
Hmm.
for a lot of people, you would be like, you're playing poker and blackjack. Whereas,
Right.
like the Atari had like Space Invaders, all sorts of like really cool stuff. And here I am for literally about 5 months with just Las Vegas poker and blackjack. But I loved video games so much. You know what? It didn't matter. It absolutely didn't matter.
Mm.
I loved the heck out of that game. And it just so happened there was a neighbor of ours who had gotten into television and he had a good job. He worked at Electric Boat. So he bought a bunch of other games. So every once in a while, I would go over there and we would play different stuff, and then it kind of took off from there. But in
Hmm.
1980s, for many, many reasons, was a pivotal year, and just all the way around. There was new music, there were new concepts coming out. The 80s, by far, for me anyway, is the best decade like ever, and it
Okay,
always will be. So.
cool. All right. For me, my favorite age when I was a kid was I was 10 years old, and that was in 1969. I was 10 years old. That was great because the space race was really underway. We landed a man on the moon for the first time in 69. There
And yes,
was,
that really happened, people. It's
yes,
not.
it really happened. It's not fake. Yeah, despite what you say, the toys, the music, the TV was awesome. We had all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So we had
Mm,
Scooby-Doo, we had Space Ghost, we had Wacky Racers, even the Harlem Globetrotters had a TV show
yeah.
back then. It was really cool. Um, the toys were amazing. I have props, boys and girls. This is an original Major Matt Mason from the 1960s that I picked up a little while ago, which is kind of neat. That was a cool toy. One of my favorite toys when I was a boy was G.I. Joe, and specifically G.I. Joe Adventure Team. So here is my G.I. Joe Sea Adventurer. This is the repro from Walmart that came out in the 90s, but still pretty cool. And I dressed him up in a special outfit that you would get online and stuff. So that was nice. And then one of my other favorite toys would have to be Captain Action. Captain Action was cool because you could dress him in all these different outfits. This is the playing mantis version from the 1990s. But Captain Action was cool in that back then, before licensing really got tough, you could dress him as Captain America, the Phantom, Flash
Yeah.
Gordon, Lone Ranger, Tonto. There were 12 different outfits that you could dress up this guy in.
Oh.
So that was pretty cool. As far as music, this is going to be funny. Music back in 1969 was all bubblegum because that was the year that the number one song in the summer of 69 was Sugar Sugar by the Archies.
Which didn't exist.
That was it. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I have the 45. I
I
have the
still have,
45.
I don't have the albums anymore. I used to have all of them, but I still have some of the 45s from the Archies. That's crazy. Um, Oh, Zeroids. I forgot about Zeroids. Zeroids was an ideal toy. They also made Captain Action. They were a bunch of robots. There were like four or five different
Hmm.
robots, and they had metal magnets in their hands. So you could wind them up and let them go. Some were battery powered, and they could pick up objects and they could twirl their heads and all their stuff. There was an indie comic company that came out with a four-issue series based on Zeroids. Didn't go anywhere. They tried to revive it, but that was still a pretty cool toy. So for me, my favorite age as a kid was 1969 when I was 10 years old. So okay, if you want to get in touch with us, our website is www.risfc.org. We just relaunched a brand new look for the site. It's pretty much like a one page, and when you go to it, you'll see a list, a calendar of events of stuff that we're doing for the next few months. I think our next event is going to be on Saturday, March 8th. It's going to be a board game night. If you're interested, it's going to be at the Woodbury Union Church, Friendship Room, 58 Beach Avenue in Warwick, Rhode Island. So look up the address. Please join us. You
Yeah.
want to come, you're welcome to bring your own board games, bring some snacks if you like. That'd be appreciated.
Yeah,
And it's just a
if
fun.
you're not into board games, I will bring a retro video game system just in case somebody wants to try and do something else. So we'll have something for everybody.
Yep, that'll be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and there's some events that we'll be covering and some we might be covering. I know there's a steampunk convention that's coming up, I want to say in May
In
in
May.
Bellingham
Yep,
that we're
Yep.
looking at.
yep,
Fantastic New England is coming up in April. Well, we will definitely be there covering
yep.
that.
We will definitely be having a movie night to go see Fantastic Four
And Thunderbolts.
and
What?
Thunderbolts.
10th anniversary, fantastic.
Oh yeah, Fantastic's 10th anniversary.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Yep,
Kind of crazy. So yeah,
yep.
so it's a big one. So definitely want to check that out.
Mhm.
Just at the beginning of April vacation, what is it, the 7th?
Yeah. No, that's the
So
following weekend,
Yeah.
Hold
right?
on.
Oh yeah,
March,
7th, 8th, 9th, 10th.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Hopefully we'll do this again in a couple of weeks. This is a work in progress, so as we go along, we'll be
Yeah, we have grandiose plans,
mhm.
as to the look and hopefully having a place we're all in one location and not doing it over Zoom. We don't know right now, but there's a lot that we're working on. So like
Yeah.
Mark said, definitely a work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress. But we'll still be here regardless. We've been doing it since what, 96. So here we go. We're still chugging along. All right, is that it?
That's
I
it.
think that's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
All
thank
right.
you very much for watching, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Mark.